As mentioned in the earlier video, you now have a ribbon in place of a menu bar, and the ribbon is this large panel that runs across the top of your screen. The ribbon is divided into various tabs. You have the Home tab, the Insert tab, the Page Layout tab, and so on. Each tab is then broken into groups: the Clipboard group, the Font group, and the Paragraph group, for example. In the bottom right corner of some of these groups is a little arrow. This arrow is known as the Dialog Box Launcher. When you click this arrow, you will actually launch, in this case, the Font Dialog Box Launcher, which is the traditional format font that you used to see in earlier versions of Word, and this gives you all the options with regards to formatting the font attributes of text. For example, the old format paragraph can now be retrieved by clicking the Paragraph Dialog Box Launcher. And there it is there. So the ribbon is divided into groups such as Font, which has a Dialog Box Launcher in the corner, and Paragraph, which has a Dialog Box Launcher in the corner. Within each group you can see a number of commands such as bold, italics, and underline. With regards to the ribbon, one of the most common phone calls I get in emails is people losing the ribbon, and how they're achieving this by accident or otherwise is they're accidentally double-clicking the tab. If I double-click the Home tab, for example, I minimize or effectively lose the ribbon. But if I double-click the Home tab again, it comes back. So always show your ribbon. Just like the Quick Access toolbar, you can also customize the ribbon. If you're wanting to do this, you can go into the File tab in the ribbon, you can go to Options, and you can choose to customize the ribbon on the left-hand side. What you're able to do here is you're able to create new tabs and rename them, and within each tab you're able to create new groups and then easily add commands to that particular tab that you want to use. Besides the ribbon, you also have a horizontal and a vertical ruler. If you don't have a horizontal or a vertical ruler showing, you may need to click the View Rulers button, which appears over here in the top right of the vertical scroll bar. When I click this button, I effectively hide my rulers, and when I click it again, I view my rulers. You can also do this by choosing the View tab in the ribbon and turning off or turning on the ruler. But I'll go back home. The ruler is important because basically with the use of grey colouring, it tells you what your margins are currently set to. I can see looking at this that my left margin is about 2.5 centimetres, and over here I can see my top margin is about 2.5 centimetres. One of the things that threw me when I got Word 2010 was trying to find page setup. Page setup used to be under File, but now I don't see page setup. But despite that not appearing under File, what I did is I continued to use the ruler to govern my page setup. If you double click the dark part of your ruler, either here, or even over here, you'll go into page setup. So I'm going to double click the dark part of my ruler. And that takes me automatically into the page setup window. And I could, for example, set all my margins to 2 centimetres. If I wanted all my documents to be 2 centimetre margins, I'd set it as the default, but I only want to do it for this document, so I'll just click OK. And you can see with the use of the ruler that the margins have changed and been reduced to 2 centimetres. The other new part of the screen is the status bar, which is the bottom part of your screen here. The status bar to the right hosts some very useful buttons, such as a plus to zoom in, if you're visually challenged like myself, or a minus to zoom out. In fact, what I might do is just quickly open a file to show you a document with text in it. So I'll go to File, and I'll go to Recent, and I'm just going to go off to a particular folder and grab a document. So here's the document with text in it. Now if I go back to my status bar, and particularly the bottom right, and hit the plus, I can zoom in and clearly see the text. If I hit the minus, I can reduce the magnification, and ultimately I'll start seeing more than one page. If I keep reducing the magnification, I start to see more and more pages. You can drag the slider to the extreme which is 500%, or down to the smallest, which is 10%, or midway, which is 100% actual size. You can also click on the percentage and specify an exact percentage if you wish. So I might go for 120 and click OK. The other thing that the status bar holds are 5 buttons to view your document in different ways, and we'll discuss these later. But at the moment, what I would like you to do is to right-click the status bar. I'm just going to right-click down here and ensure that everything is turned on. If you right-click the status bar, you can customize the status bar, and I recommend that you turn everything on. For example, if I was to untick the last 3 options, I'll lose these buttons to the right of my status bar. Let me show you. And see, now the zoom controls have disappeared. If I turn them back on, they reappear. So definitely right-click your status bar and turn everything on. The sorts of things available to you now on your status bar is to be able to clearly see which page you're on, in which case I'm on page 1, and how many pages are in the document. I'm on page 1 of a 6-page document. Now if someone says to me, Kath, you've got a mistake on page 132, I certainly don't scroll to page 132. I'll simply click this option, or this option, or this option, because all of them say, click to open the go-to box. So I'll click, and here's the go-to box. And it's wanting to know which page do I want to go to. So I'll tell it 4, and I'll go to. And looking down here in the lower left of my status bar, I'm now on page 4. If I want to go to page 1, I'll type 1 and maybe press enter, and now I'm on page 1. So that's a handy way and a quick way to quickly go to a specific page. Another useful option is words count. When I click this, it actually tells me how many words and pages and characters are in this document. So if you have a word restriction, like you have to type an article and you're not allowed to type more than 150 words, this can be useful. And I'll go close. Another useful option is the language. If I click the language, I'm able to change my language to English UK, English New Zealand, whatever particular language I'd like. And if I want to make that my default language, I'll click this button here. So I'll choose English New Zealand and set as the default. And yes, this will affect all new documents. And OK. And now I can see English New Zealand as my language. If you're a person who uses track changes, this can be handy to turn the track changes on with a click and off with a click. This is handy for recording macros if you're a person who likes to record macros in Word. And this particular button will turn off the insert mode, and when you start typing, instead of inserting, for example, like that, you'll start over typing. Let me show you. I'll click insert, and now I'm over typing. If I then go back to the overtype, I can go back to insert.